Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Dr. Chen, and today I want to talk with you about something simple, powerful, and often underestimated: the foods you eat every single day. What if I told you that some of the most important support for your body may already be sitting in your kitchen? What if small choices at breakfast, lunch, and dinner could help support your body's natural defenses, help your cells function more efficiently, and help create an internal environment that is more balanced, more resilient, and more protective over time? Now let me be very clear from the beginning. Food is not magic. Food is not a quick fix. And food is not a replacement for medical care. But food does matter. It matters more than many people realize. Your body is constantly repairing, rebuilding, defending, and adapting. Every day, your cells are working hard to produce energy, manage stress, respond to inflammation, repair damage, and stay in healthy balance. And the raw materials for many of those processes come from what you eat. That's why today I'm going to share 5 foods that can help protect your body and support healthy cells. These are not trendy miracle foods. These are not expensive supplements in disguise. These are practical, meaningful foods that can earn a real place in your routine. And here's why this matters so much. Most people wait until they feel unwell before they start caring about nourishment. But real support begins long before there is a problem. The goal is not only to react. The goal is to build a body that is better supported every day. A body that has the nutrients it needs. A body that is less burdened. A body that can do what it was designed to do with more strength and stability. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through 5 foods, explain why each one matters, and show you simple ways to include them in real life. No confusion, no overcomplication, just clear, meaningful guidance you can actually use. Let's begin with the first food, and it may be one of the most powerful categories of all. Food number 1 is berries. Berries may be small, but they are packed with compounds that can support your body in big ways. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries contain natural plant compounds called polyphenols, along with vitamins, fiber, and antioxidants that help support cellular health. Every day, your body is exposed to stress. Some of that stress comes from normal metabolism. Some comes from the environment. Some comes from poor sleep, chronic tension, processed foods, inactivity, or excess sugar. Over time, that stress can affect how well your cells function. Antioxidant-rich foods help your body manage some of that burden. And that is one reason berries matter so much. They help provide protective compounds that support balance. They help nourish the body without overwhelming it. They support healthy aging, and they are one of the easiest foods to add to your life. Another major advantage of berries is their fiber content. Fiber is not just about digestion. Fiber helps support the gut environment, helps feed beneficial bacteria, helps slow the absorption of sugar, and helps create a more stable internal rhythm after meals. When your blood sugar rises too quickly again and again, it can put stress on the system. Foods like berries are a smarter way to satisfy the desire for something sweet while also supporting the body. And let's talk about something important here. A lot of people think healthy eating has to feel restrictive, but berries are one of the best examples of how supportive food can also be enjoyable. They are flavorful, refreshing, versatile, and easy to use. You can add berries to plain yogurt in the morning. You can mix them into oatmeal. You can blend them into a smoothie. You can keep frozen berries in the freezer so you always have them available. You can even use them as a simple dessert instead of reaching for highly processed sweets. If someone tells me they want to support their body but they don't know where to start, berries are often one of the first foods I recommend because they are practical, familiar, and meaningful. Now here's the key point. Berries are not powerful because of one single nutrient. They are powerful because they bring together fiber, hydration, antioxidants, and plant compounds in one clean package. That is what makes whole foods so important. You're not just getting one isolated benefit. You are getting a network of support. So if you want to help protect your body and support healthy cells, start by making berries a regular part of your routine, not once every few weeks. Not only when you're feeling especially healthy, regularly. Consistency matters more than perfection. Now let's move to food number 2, and this one deserves far more attention than it gets. Food number 2 is cruciferous vegetables. This includes foods like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, bok choy, arugula, kale, and broccoli sprouts. These vegetables contain natural compounds that help support the body's protective systems, including pathways involved in cellular defense and detoxification. One of the reasons cruciferous vegetables are so respected in nutrition is because they contain compounds that can be converted into substances like sulforaphane and indole-related compounds, depending on the vegetable. These plant chemicals have been widely studied for their ability to support the body's own protective processes. Now I want to explain this in a simple way. Your body is always processing what comes in: food, environmental exposures, internal waste products, stress signals. Your body has systems that help manage that load, and supportive foods can help those systems work more effectively. Cruciferous vegetables are among the most valuable foods in that conversation. They also bring fiber, vitamins, minerals, and texture to a meal. And that matters, because the best health supportive foods are not the ones that do only one thing. The best foods work on multiple levels. They support digestion. They support nourishment. They support fullness. They help crowd out less supportive foods. For many people, the problem is not that they have never heard of broccoli. The problem is that they don't eat these vegetables consistently enough to benefit from them. A small serving once in a while is not the same as making them part of your rhythm. And let's be honest, some people avoid these vegetables because they think they are boring, bitter, or hard to prepare. But that usually comes down to how they are cooked. Overcooked vegetables become dull and forgettable. Lightly steamed broccoli with olive oil, lemon, garlic, and a pinch of salt is a very different experience. Roasted Brussels sprouts with a little seasoning can be deeply satisfying. Thinly sliced cabbage can add crunch to bowls, wraps, and salads. Broccoli sprouts can be added to sandwiches, eggs, and grain bowls with almost no effort at all. Another thing I want you to remember is that variety matters. You do not need to eat the same cruciferous vegetable every day. Rotate them. Use what is available. Make it realistic. The goal is not to turn healthy eating into a chore. The goal is to create a pattern your body benefits from and your life can sustain. These vegetables also tend to pair beautifully with proteins, legumes, grains, and healthy fats, which makes them easier to build into meals. If you are making soup, add cabbage or kale. If you are roasting vegetables, include cauliflower or Brussels sprouts. If you are making a stir-fry, use bok choy. If you are assembling a quick lunch, add arugula or shredded cabbage. The opportunities are everywhere. When I think about foods that support healthy cells, cruciferous vegetables stand out because they help the body do what it is already trying to do: protect, regulate, and maintain balance. So berries give you one layer of support. Cruciferous vegetables give you another. And now we come to food number 3, a food many people already eat but often underestimate. Food number 3 is tomatoes. Tomatoes are especially known for a compound called lycopene, a natural carotenoid that gives tomatoes their red color. Lycopene has been studied for its role in helping support cells against oxidative stress. Tomatoes also provide vitamin C, potassium, and other beneficial plant compounds. What makes tomatoes especially interesting is that they are easy to use in everyday meals, and they can be beneficial in more than one form. Fresh tomatoes are excellent, but cooked tomato products can also be very useful, because cooking helps release lycopene, making it easier for the body to absorb, especially when tomatoes are eaten with a healthy fat like olive oil. That means foods like tomato sauce, stewed tomatoes, and tomato paste can be very meaningful additions to a healthy dietary pattern, as long as you choose options without excessive sugar or unnecessary additives. Now think about how often tomatoes can fit into a week. Fresh tomatoes in salads, tomato slices on a sandwich, homemade tomato sauce over lentil pasta, chopped tomatoes with olive oil and herbs, a vegetable soup with a tomato base. This is not a rare or complicated food. This is one of the reasons it becomes so powerful. When supportive foods are easy to use, you are more likely to stay consistent. Tomatoes also remind us of an important principle. Protecting your body does not always require dramatic changes. Sometimes it's about upgrading what you already eat. If you already enjoy pasta, make the sauce more nutrient-rich and reduce the processed extras. If you already eat eggs, add tomatoes on the side. If you already make sandwiches, use fresh tomato with greens instead of relying only on processed fillings. The healthiest patterns are often built through small decisions repeated over time. That is what people miss when they chase extremes. They want a complete transformation overnight. But your body responds to patterns. Your cells respond to patterns. Your long-term well-being responds to patterns. Tomatoes also pair well with many other protective foods. Tomatoes with olive oil. Tomatoes with beans. Tomatoes with leafy greens. Tomatoes with herbs and garlic. That synergy matters, because foods often work better as part of a broader pattern than in isolation. And that brings me to something I want to emphasize throughout this entire video. No single food carries the full burden of your health. The goal is not to find one magic answer. The goal is to build a daily environment that supports your body. One food helps with one area. Another food strengthens another. Together, they begin to create a more supportive foundation. So we have berries, cruciferous vegetables, and tomatoes. Now let's move to food number 4. And this one is one of the most underrated tools for supporting healthy cells and overall resilience. Food number 4 is beans and lentils. Beans and lentils are nutritional powerhouses. They provide fiber, plant protein, minerals, and a slow, steady form of nourishment that helps support energy and metabolic balance. They are also some of the most practical and cost-effective health-supportive foods available. If I could get more people to make one meaningful dietary shift, it would be to eat more legumes consistently. Why? Because they do so many things well. First, fiber. And again, fiber is not a small detail. Most people do not get enough. Fiber helps support digestion, helps maintain regularity, helps feed beneficial gut bacteria, helps support more stable blood sugar, and helps with fullness after meals. That means beans and lentils help support the gut and help reduce the tendency to constantly chase quick, less supportive foods. Second, protein. Plant protein from legumes can help support muscles, tissues, and overall body function, especially when included regularly in meals. Protein is not just for athletes. Your body uses protein constantly for repair, structure, enzymes, hormones, and cellular function. Third, legumes help create meals that are more stable and satisfying. When people rely too heavily on refined carbohydrates, they often experience more energy crashes, more hunger, and more difficulty staying balanced. Beans and lentils are different. They help anchor a meal. And there is another reason I love them. They are versatile. Lentil soup, chickpeas in salads, black beans in bowls, hummus as a snack, white beans in stews, red lentils cooked into a quick, comforting meal. This is real food that fits real life. A lot of people think eating for health means buying exotic ingredients. But beans and lentils are proof that some of the most meaningful foods are also some of the simplest. They also work beautifully with some of the other foods we've already discussed. Think of a bowl with lentils, roasted broccoli, tomatoes, olive oil, and herbs. That's not just a meal. That's a collection of foods working together to nourish the body more intelligently. Another advantage of beans and lentils is that they help you replace less supportive foods. When a meal is built around legumes, there is often less room for heavily refined starches and overly salty packaged foods. In that sense, their benefit is both direct and indirect. They provide nourishment, and they also help improve the quality of the whole plate. If you are new to legumes, start slowly. Add small amounts and increase over time. Rinse canned beans well if you use them. Experiment with seasoning. Use soups, salads, and grain bowls as easy entry points. You do not need to become a perfect cook overnight. You just need a system that works for you. And that word matters. System. The healthiest people are not usually relying on motivation every day. They create systems. They keep supportive foods at home. They know how to prepare them simply. They repeat what works. And that is how progress becomes sustainable. So now we have 4 foods: berries, cruciferous vegetables, tomatoes, and beans or lentils. Each one supports the body differently. Each one adds protection. Each one strengthens the foundation. Now let's move to food number 5. And this one is especially important because healthy cells do not only need protection from stress, they also need the right fats to function well. Food number 5 is walnuts. Walnuts are rich in healthy fats, including plant-based omega-3 fats, along with polyphenols, minerals, and other nutrients that help support the brain, heart, and cells. They are one of the simplest examples of how a small food can deliver meaningful value. Many people are afraid of fats because they grew up hearing that fat itself was the problem. But the real issue is not simply fat. The real issue is the type of fat, the quality of the overall diet, and the balance of the whole pattern. Walnuts provide fats your body can actually use in beneficial ways. Your cells are surrounded by membranes, and the quality of dietary fats matters for overall cellular function. Healthy fats also help with the absorption of certain fat-soluble nutrients from foods like vegetables. In other words, walnuts are not only helpful on their own, they can make the rest of your meal work better too. Walnuts also bring satiety. They help make meals and snacks more satisfying, which can reduce the constant cycle of cravings and mindless eating. That is important, because protecting the body is not just about adding good things. It is also about making it easier to eat less of what burdens the body. And let's talk practicality again. Walnuts are incredibly easy to use. Add a handful to oatmeal. Sprinkle them over yogurt with berries. Toss them into a salad. Blend them into a homemade dressing or pesto. Pair them with fruit for a simple snack. Add chopped walnuts to cooked vegetables or grain bowls for texture and richness. One thing I appreciate about walnuts is that they feel like a bridge food. They make healthy eating feel more satisfying, more complete, and more enjoyable. And when healthy eating becomes enjoyable, it becomes repeatable. That is what we want. Now, if you listen closely, you'll notice a pattern in these 5 foods. They are not random. Each one supports the body from a different angle. Berries help provide antioxidant and polyphenol support. Cruciferous vegetables help support the body's defense and detox pathways. Tomatoes provide lycopene and help support cells against oxidative stress. Beans and lentils nourish the gut, support metabolic balance, and provide steady fuel. Walnuts contribute healthy fats and important compounds that support cellular integrity and overall resilience. This is how thoughtful nutrition works. It is not about hype, it is about layers. Layer upon layer of support, repeated over time. And now I want to take this one step further, because knowing the foods is useful, but knowing how to use them is what changes behavior. Here is a very simple way to think about it. At breakfast, you could have plain yogurt or oatmeal with berries and walnuts. At lunch, you could have a lentil bowl with tomatoes, leafy greens, and roasted broccoli. At dinner, you could have a bean-based soup with cabbage or kale and a side salad with tomatoes. As a snack, you could keep berries and a few walnuts available instead of reaching for ultra-processed foods. Do you see what happens? Once these foods become familiar, healthy eating stops feeling abstract. It becomes concrete. It becomes doable. And I also want to say this to anyone who feels behind. Maybe your diet has not been great lately. Maybe stress has been high. Maybe you have been relying on convenience foods. Maybe your routine is inconsistent. That does not mean you failed. It means you start from where you are. You do not need to fix everything this week. You do not need to become perfect by Monday. You need to begin. One serving of berries is a beginning. One side of broccoli is a beginning. One pot of lentils is a beginning. One better grocery list is a beginning. And yes, small changes matter. Small changes become repeated actions. Repeated actions become habits. Habits become patterns. Patterns shape outcomes. That is why I strongly encourage people not to underestimate ordinary food. We live in a world that constantly sells dramatic solutions, but the body is often supported in quieter ways. A better breakfast, a more balanced lunch, a more intentional dinner, less processed overload, more whole food nourishment. more consistency, more respect for what the body needs. Now, before I close, I want to leave you with an important reminder. These foods support health, but they are part of a bigger picture. Sleep matters, movement matters, stress management matters, hydration matters, avoiding tobacco matters. Limiting heavily processed foods matters. Getting proper medical guidance matters. Health is rarely one thing. It is usually a pattern. But nutrition is one of the most powerful parts of that pattern, because it happens every day. And that means every day is another opportunity to support your body. So if you take one thing from this video, let it be this. Your body is always listening to what you repeatedly give it. When you give it foods that support balance, nourishment, and resilience, you are helping your body do its job better. You are not forcing health. You are supporting it. The 5 foods I want you to remember are these: berries, cruciferous vegetables, tomatoes, beans and lentils, and walnuts. Start with one if you need to. Build from there. Keep it simple, keep it steady, and let consistency do the heavy lifting. If you found this helpful, stay with me on this channel, because my goal is to help you make health feel clear, practical, and meaningful. Thank you so much for being here.